Shalom, real quick. I'm going to entitle this video, "We are in the time of Daniel 2:42." What I mean by that is we're in the time of the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 42. Anyway, I typed in Daniel 2, verse 42 in Google, and I went to images, and a bunch of images popped up. And give me a second. Let me just bring this up. Well, I may just read the scripture. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, Daniel 2, verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom, and this kingdom is talking about Esau's kingdom, the United States, America, NATO, and the EU. If you notice, the NATO and the EU are all European countries. Those are Edomites. And this is talking about the downfall of this man's system. And a lot of them are running scared, and they're speaking about the Israelites right now. It's let me read that again. And as 42nd verse, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And this is what, anytime you come across the term Brexit, that's broken down into a British exiting the EU. So Brexit means British, Great Britain exiting the EU, because Great Britain will be considered a part of iron, and some of these other nations are considered, like Greece, are considered clay. It says, 43rd verse, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, weak European nations and strong European nations, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And they have different, this whole situation of these Africans coming into different parts of Europe. Basically, what you have over there in Europe is the same thing you have over here in America, where you have the Latin, some of the Latin tribes trying to get into the interior of the United States so they can live a better life. And that's what that whole, wall thing is about with Trump. It says, 43rd verse, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. It says, and in the days of these kings, so we are in this fulfillment right now. You had NATO, which came on the scene in 1949, and then you had the EU nations, which was established by the what was that called? The Treaty of Rome. So this is Rome all over again, and that was in 57, 58, I believe. 1958 they received their charter, but they had the meeting in 1957, if I'm not mistaken. And I went through this before, but I'm going through this again to show you this image, the image that you see. I'm gonna go into this image of that statue that the king of Babylon had a dream about, and Daniel the prophet, the Israelite, one of the sons of the Most High, he broke down the whole dream that the king of Babylon had, even to the point of the last part of that standing image, which was the feet, which were in the time of the feet. It says, and this is also in secular history. It says 44, and in those days, and in the days of these kings, shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom. What does it mean by he shall set up a kingdom? When you see all these Israelites all throughout the country, all throughout the planet, all on YouTube, that's the kingdom being set up. Because even Israelites that are not a part of Great Millstone, that are teaching that you're Israelites, they're going to be in the kingdom too. Ultimately, all Israelites, all Uncle Toms, all sellouts, all niggas, all grimy niggas, they're all going to come back in the kingdom anyway. It says, and in those days, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom. So how is the kingdom being set? In other words, the temple is being built. The third temple is being built. You got these Edomites trying to figure out where and when are they going to build that third temple. Well, the third temple is being built. The third temple are the dry bones in Ezekiel 37 chapter. So you Edomites, you know, you got us all on your different news channels and your different websites talking about us. And what you're talking about is the rebuilding of the third temple, which will consist of or be made up of men, and then eventually women and children. That's your 144,000. You can't stop it. This is it. Man, every kingdom has an end. Your kingdom is at its end. You're in the time of Daniel 2, verse 42, verse 43, verse 44, verse 45, 44th verse again. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. So this nonsense of people outside of the children of Israel or national Israel, they're gonna partake of the blessings of the kingdom. No, they're not gonna partake of the blessings of the kingdom. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. 45th verse. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and I'm gonna jump up a couple. You know what? I'm gonna do that right now. So I'm in the 45th verse, but I'm gonna jump up. Bear with me for a minute. I'm up at the 32nd verse. It said, this image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. thou sawest, thou sawest, thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet. And this is the time period of NATO, the EU, the United States. The reason why I mentioned the United States, because the United States is part of NATO. And you have NATO nations that are part of that are also known as EU nations. EU nations are also known as NATO nations. And they're all so-called Europeans, all Edomites, that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. It says, 35th verse, then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor. And the wind carried them away, that no man was found for them, that no place was found for them, and the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, which represented kingdom, and filled the whole earth. And that's getting ready to happen. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Now let me jump back down to the 45th verse. Daniel 2 verse 45. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. Gold represent the Babylonian Empire. Silver represent the Medo-Persian Empire. Brass represent the Greek rulership. Iron represent the Roman rulership. And the clay and the iron mixed together represent this system that we're living in. NATO and in the EU. It says, the Most High hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. I'm going to jump to the 47th verse. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your power, your God, is a power of gods, and a Lord of kings, and which is Yahweh Shai, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. That's all I'm going to read on that. Now I'm going to go to this image here, and it says, another EU step increasing the revived Roman Empire's power. Now you see the image, and then you see Gold Age, Babylon the Great, the Lion, Chaldean dynasty, King Nebuchadnezzar II, Silver Age. That represents the Medo-Persian Empire. Then you have the Bronze Age, which represent the Greco, the Greek Empire, the Greek rulership. The leopard is Alexander himself, Hellenistic era, 336 to 323 BC. Alexander the Great. Then you have Iron Age, Roman Empire, the Beast. So this picture right here, if you go to this site, they're telling you that they know that the Roman Empire, going back 2,000 years ago, is actually the beast spoken of in the Book of Revelation, the Book of Daniel. Western and Eastern 44 BC. Then it said 476 AD. which you had Jake ruling. Jake came along around the late 90s to 100 AD. It says then it says the 10 kings, or the feet of it. It says the modern age new Roman Empire. But if you notice, they don't mention America. America is part of the new Roman Empire. This would be the capital Rome. Well, wait a minute. Geographically, Rome is over there on the other side of the world. Yeah, but the spirit of Rome is right here in America. That's why when you go to the Capitol, back 2,000 years ago, you had a thing called Capitoline Hill, and you can look it up. Now, over here, if you go to the seat of government, it's called Capitol Hill. When you check out the way the buildings are set up in D.C., the Oval Office, the Capitol building, the Senate House, that's Roman architecture going back 2,000 years ago. Instead of them wearing togas and a rosemary wreath around their head, they wear three-piece, two-piece, and three-piece suits. So the feet of it is the modern age new Roman Empire, 10 kings, kingdoms, and then it says European Union. Now the European Union nations, which are all Edomites, are allies to the United States, and also these NATO nations. Most of the NATO nations are also EU nations, and vice versa. And they're all European. They're all Edomites. So, you know, we're at the time of your end, and you are still here among us, Esau. You so-called Europeans, you so-called white people. Whether you live here over here in America or whether you live in Europe, we're in the time of the feet of it, part iron and part miry clay, and the toes. And it speaks about a stone being cut out without hands and destroying the feet of it, and all these kingdoms coming tumbling down, because the descendants of the Babylonians and the Medo-Persians and the Greeks and the Romans, they're here today. All of the descendants are here today, and they're reincarnated. So your future is slavery, and that's you can't get around this, man. You're trying to figure this thing out, and you're not going to be able to figure this thing out unless you just open up and accept the truth that this is the time of your end. We had an end, and then now the Most High took us down, and the Most High built us back up. And that's all I'm going to say. With that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one.